Okay, let's start this.
Wait,
Am I in frame? Hey everybody, it's your boy Kyle. I'm here with a hot new take on the latest Marvel This is how vlogs work, right?
Come out! The Black Panther is ready for you!
Hey everyone, we wanted to talk about Black Panther.
I'm thinking of a name for this new series that I want to do, because I want this to be a regular thing. I promised myself, and the thing is going! The Radiator's happening right now.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean...
Of course, it just had to happen right now. We have a very loud radiator in our apartment.
The Radiator often plays when I'm about to record my podcast.
Which you should listen to, by the way.
Every new rack is my dick in a box. We get a doozy, the molars are lies. You kiss the wood chipper blade if you bought. I'm fucking magic, in fact, I'm a warlock at talk. I got a unicorn for
Stop.
So welcome to a thing that I was thinking of calling,
Now playing.
Now Playing. Is that what I was gonna call it?
Yes, that's what we're going.
Okay, I was thinking like Now Playing or The Current Cinema, like they do in The New Yorker, because The New Yorker does it.
Okay.
Me vlogging, this is gonna be a fun exercise.
Yeah.
Because I'm normally so bad at improvising.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of my fate.
We already had a test run last night because we recorded this already and then decided to re-record it.
Yes, because I look like a dump.
You do not look like a dump.
I look like Sean Hunter if he really, really let himself go.
Wow.
Okay, just now I put a picture of myself with this haircut on Twitter and just everyone in the world made 90s kid jokes. I got Mike Myers in, So I Married an Axe Murderer.
And you know how this...
I got Denny from The Room.
And you know how this reflects poorly on me because I am your girlfriend and I'm supposed to make sure that when you are out here, you are looking good. And I think that you look fine, but apparently, according to the mainstream opinion, I am not doing my job. Well,
it's not your job to make sure I'm presentable. It's my job to make sure I'm presentable.
I mean, maybe it's just because you haven't dated black women before me, but yeah, it kind of is.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, Ryan Coogler, I've been a big fan of his Radiator.
Ignore the Radiator.
The Radiator's the third character in this.
Yeah. Well,
the fourth, including the dog licking your leg right now.
Yes, the dog is currently licking my leg. Ryan Coogler.
We're off to a great start.
So I'm gonna run down like my history with Ryan Coogler, and you can run down yours.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm good. We're gonna be good. We're gonna be good.
I refuse to watch Fruitvale Station because I do not want to cry. I know that it's a good movie. I can tell based on the way that people talk about it. I don't want to cry. If I need to cry, like if I ever decide to become an actor and I really need to cry, Fruitvale Station is the first movie I'm gonna watch to practice my crying. Creed is amazing. I love Creed. I'm a big Rocky fan. There's a dog on my lap. I'm a big Rocky fan. I love the first Rocky movie. I love that it's like about fighting and a love story, and I love that Creed is also that, but black and also like just like so relevant and interesting, and the music cues and the editing, and it's so good. And I really like Black Panther, and somebody pointed out on Twitter earlier today, really interestingly enough, that like Ryan Coogler has only worked with female cinematographers.
Yeah, I've heard through secondhand accounts that Ryan Coogler in real life is, you know, just a really nice guy. Just an absolute sweetheart.
I'm glad.
It's really important for us at the BFI, the British Film Institute, to do this because we talk a lot about cinematic memory. Yeah, sure. Fellas, watch and learn.
And by third-hand accounts, I mean my boss, Lindsay Ellis, was in the same grad school program as he was at USC. And that's how I first heard about him, just as this classmate of my boss slash colleague slash friend. And I saw Fruitvale Station, just not really expecting much out of it other than, you know, I wonder what Lindsay's friends are doing. And it was mesmerizing. It was intimate and humanist and cinematographically clever at some points. Like, I just love that one shot in Fruitvale Station where the camera stays fixed on the subway car that's taking him to his death, and just you see all the people within the subway car as it stays stationary. It's almost like a movie effect in itself. then I realized, oh, he got that from, how's the dog?
She's great. I didn't mean to cut.
We have Todd in the Shadow's dog right here.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I didn't mean to get into your train of thought and like, oh my god.
Creed was also, a lot of the same.
It's my shit. I love Creed. I don't know if you know how much I love Creed, but I love Creed. Especially like the, oh my god, the training ones when, I don't even know what you call them, like the four-wheelers and they're like riding alongside of him while he's running. Oh my god, that's things. My shit.
Yeah, apparently that's an actual Philadelphia subculture that that Ryan Coogler knew about and wanted to include in the movie itself. And I was wondering how he was going to include that, something like that level of intimacy, that level of insight into black culture in a movie of this scale, of this, magnitude, of this, the behemoth that is Marvel Studios. And he did a great job doing it. Can we talk about the cast for a bit?
Are we talking about how hot they are? Because Jesus Christ.
Well, we could do that, I'm sure Chadwick Boseman is a very pretty man to some people.
I'm not even talking about Chadwick.
Oh, you're talking about Daniel Kaluuya.
No, I'm not talking about him either.
You're talking about Michael B. Jordan.
No, those three, okay, like, here's my definitive...
I know exactly what she's talking about, I'm just setting her up.
I know what people's, like, general thoughts are. My ranking is this. We have Denai Guerrera, #1. We have the entire Dear Melage, #2. They take up the whole second spot. Then we have...
Time out. I just realized we have the fan on. I'm just going to have this vlog be a list of all my errors vlogging.
It's not a big deal.
No, it's a big deal to me because I worry about my audience and how they see me.
Hi,
dog.
So #3.
Here, the dog's going to replace me.
#3, Winston Duke. Winston Duke.
This is Todd in the Shadow's dog. I stole it from him.
What a 6'4" Trinidadian god. And then, under him...
Is he this cute, though?
And then of course, we have Lupita. Then we have Michael B. Jordan. Sure, he's a cutie. Like, I don't know.
So if you want to see this movie based on the fuckability of its cast, then by all means.
And some people are into Daniel Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya, I found interesting as an actor because, like, before this, Get Out and 15 Million Merits, the Black Mirror episode.
He has a very expressive face.
Yes, and in both those movies, he's great at showing agony.
One more ugly joke in the kingdom of millions and then fuck you. Fuck you for happening.
There's a reason Get Out was marketed based on his cry face.
He has a great, like, face for subtlety. Like, even when I see just, like, random snapshots of Daniel Kaluuya, like, at, like, award shows, his eyes say everything about how he's feeling all the time. And then, of course, there's Chadwick, who, is very...
He freezes.
He freezes. Like, if we're talking about, like, the monumental hotness of this film, like, because sometimes, like, when I'm watching Marvel movies, I'm just like, yeah, I'm into these characters. But, like, in terms of this, like, I was into these characters. My God. I want to just shave my head, give up my entire wardrobe. I want to join them.
Halloween this year.
I thought that I wanted to go to Themyscira, and I still kind of do. There are some black women there. I saw some, but... I just...
The movie calls them Grace Joneses.
One thing that I love about Black Panther is not only the prominence of black women, which is the most black women I've ever seen in a superhero movie, in a fantasy film, in anything genre of this scale ever, but they're also the most capable people in this movie. Across the board.
Which, again, ties back into Ryan Coogler's larger filmography. He's always told stories. I mean, by always, I mean, he's only made 2 films before this. But in all of them, women have played a huge part in the men's life, and he accepts that and nourishes that. So,
like, these character names, I was worried about them.
I wrote them down.
Okay, so we got...
T'Challa, Eric, Nakia, Okoye, Wakabi, Shuri, M'Baku, Njobu, Ramonda, Zori, T'Chaka, Ulysses, Everett.
Wait, who is Everett? Is Everett
Martin Freeman?
Oh, the white guy, right?
the Tolkien white guy.
So, oh man, the treatment of Martin Freeman in this movie. I really appreciated him being called a colonizer. I think that was great.
That got a huge laugh. We should back it up. We got the idea. Sorry, you got the idea.
Yes,
to see this at the Magic Johnson AMC in Harlem, in New York.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite theaters.
Which I've never been. It's a really nice theater. There were murals there. I love the...
And the Popeyes is very close, which is very important for me.
It was fascinating seeing a lot of the audience react the way they did, because this movie is going to get a lot of blowback. It probably already has gotten a lot of blowback from white
Well, did you see the thing on Twitter where like people are pretending that like
the movie assaulted them?
Right.
Like they look up stock images of like bloody handkerchiefs and then says, someone attacked me at Black Panther.
The weirdest thing about it is not that it's racist. That's not weird at all. That's predictable. What's weird about it is that white people actually think that black people would care what they were doing while they were going to see Black Panther. We don't. Like, I brought this one because I date him, but I was not interested in what any other white person was doing.
So another thing that happened while we were at that theater, which I think is worth discussing, we were sandwiched in between two groups of people, like right in the front. Behind us were people that you called Key and Peele characters.
I did.
You called them Key and Peele characters.
Yep, I did. Also, I could call them those like Hollywood shuffle characters, that, you know, the ones that just like sneak into the theater and it's just like, we're gonna review the movie.
Welcome to sneaking in the movies.
They just kept on like being like, this looks like a really good movie. Oh, that doesn't look like a really good movie. And it was
like Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer would play. Oh, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. That looks like a good movie. This is Venom. I can't believe they made a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man.
And those are the exact kind of antics that I wanted when I saw this movie.
And in front of us was the white equivalent of that. There were a bunch of giggly, arty, hipstery white people who were going, I can't believe we're seeing a Marvel movie.
Another Marvel is just getting so much of our money and I don't understand.
I'm shocked.
Why everyone is so excited about this? What could people possibly be excited about this particular Marvel movie? What could it be? I don't know.
Basically, they were me if I didn't go to the movie with this person.
Oh my god. Well, I would hope that even if you had gone with that, you wouldn't act like that.
Of course not.
Because it's just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You don't know why people are excited. You know exactly why people are excited. Anyone pretending like they don't know is full of shit. Stop pretending.
There is a sociological difference in the way that different audiences have reacted to this movie. In fact, my brother saw it last night, and he was not in the most diverse place in the world. You know that scene with M'Baku where they're up in the mountains with the gorilla men? He was sitting next to some white kids, and they started cracking jokes about the black character who started acting like a gorilla. And they thought it was funny that he was acting like a gorilla.
This is what I have to deal with. This is what we had to see. This is what.
No, this is what my brother had to deal with.
Well, if
in the theater when that happened,
in North Carolina. You see,
yes.
If I was still in Georgia, I could have easily have run into that, which is where I'm from. I'm from Georgia, so it's just like I'm in New York now, so I mostly get this artsy bullshit and not that.
Yeah,
but like,
but there is definitely a different breed of heckler. That we were sandwiched in between. I thought it was interesting to see both of those archetypes in the same place.
Which they shouldn't have been. That's not what
they shouldn't have been.
I don't come all the way to Harlem for this shit, okay? I don't come all the way, like, just go see fucking 3 Billboards again. Leave us alone.
3 Billboards.
Yeah, sure.
I love that that's the whitest movie you can think of. But we bring this up because we have to, because this movie is, it's just so historically important, just with the way it intersects, the mega blockbuster and race.
And of course, we're not saying that it's the first one.
Of course it isn't.
20 years ago, there was an amazing film called Blade. Which is the best Blade movie. It's the best Blade movie. Blade 2 is not good. It's not. Glad that we had this talk.
And obviously the first black superhero was Meteor Man.
Meteor Man was first?
But still, it is the first. Okay, it's not the first. It's the most.
Yeah, that's a much better term. It's
Yeah.
not the first, it's the most. It is like just the sheer number of like black people, the sheer number of black women. Black women outnumber black men in this movie.
I saw an interview with Ryan Coogler where he talked about, he grew up in the 90s, as did I, as did you partially, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little younger, but I was growing up in the 90s.
Looking back, that time really was a renaissance for black actors. It was such a
Black male actors.
Black male actors, yes. It was the age of Denzel Washington and Wesley Snipes and Will Smith. He grew up in that time and he kept wondering why they never did movies together. Like, why was there no Ocean's 11 for this great crop of black actors that came up in the 90s? And here we have a movie where every individual actor can and has headlined a great film.
Yeah.
Including Chadwick Boseman, including Daniel Kaluuya, including Lupita Nyong'o, including Forrest Whitaker as Zuri.
Including Angela Bassett.
And John Caney. He was part of South African theater for decades. It was his work with playwright Atul Fugard that put South African theater on the map. I'm pretty sure he's the one who taught Chadwick Boseman how to speak his native language to play T'Challa. His native language, which... I'm going to mispronounce it right now. Kosa. There's a click there.
And also, when I was doing some reading, there's also like a French actor in there that's like really I don't watch a lot of French films, so I don't know. But he was in like, feel like he was in like, maybe it was called like The Limits of Control.
I've heard of that. Oh yes.
He didn't get to talk much, but I saw him and I was like, he's that French guy.
Yeah, he's worked with Jim Jarmusch a lot.
Yeah.
Jim Jarmusch. He was in Ghost Dog Way the Samurai.
Yes! Maintenant ils disent que la glace est vraiment bonne pour la santé.
I actually didn't recognize him because he has that giant lip thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Another thing, the costuming work that goes into this movie is just so extensive. The production design in general is going to be dissected for like decades to come. We said before that it's not the first, but it is the most black movie.
Yeah, the most.
It's when you compare this to a movie like, say, Coming to America.
Step into the spotlight.
Zamunda is also a white person's idea of a purely black African kingdom that was never colonized. And it's still very kind of old Hollywood exoticism. Donald Bogle called Coming to America just an extension of...
Donald Bogle, my old professor.
Shout out. An extension of 1950s ideas of African royalty, like the parades for the Queen of Sheba that would have in biblical epics. But it's not true here. For the production design here, everything is authentically African. It's still a mishmash of different African cultures. Like, if you look at the architecture of the Wakandan capital city, there are architectural styles taken from, like, the ruins at Timbuktu and Djenné. There's inspiration taken from Great Zimbabwe, from the Kilwa, from all these different African cultures that, across this huge continent, that, you know, could theoretically make it to this one, to the small country, if it is, you know, cosmopolitan and traded a lot and, you know, imported a lot of different cultural ideas as well as, you know, scientific ones.
The production designer's name was Hannah Beechler, and then the costume designer is Ruth Carter. So they're both black women, and if you like trace both of their filmographies, you're gonna find just like so much about black cinema there. Like the idea of like production design, black woman, costumes, black woman, cinematography, woman, lesbian woman. So that's representation right there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and it's not just that like, I'm just like, oh yes, we're checking off these boxes. It's just that they're incredibly talented in the work that they did with this film. The way that it looks, it doesn't look like any other Marvel film. It looks amazing.
It doesn't look like any other film, period. Because African fantasy filmmaking is just a very niche market. I mean, it exists. I talked about one a while back.
You know, I told you that at BAM they're doing this like black superhero series and stuff. Yelan is actually on the list of like to program.
Really?
And I saw it and I was like, I thought of you because they programmed Blade and Blade 2 and Meteor Man and stuff, all really in preparation for Black Panther, and it was just like this great opportunity to just like look at the past of Black cinema and to celebrate the future, which I think like in terms of the way that we're talking about Black Panther is a really important thing to consider.
Well, Black Panther is about celebrating the future. It is showing a continent with a future as a member of a global community.
Yeah.
And that's going to be great. I mean, it's a stepping stone in one direction, and I've yet to hear any feedback from an actual sub-Saharan African critic on the movie.
I would love that.
Because, you know, it is still an American's idea of Africa. It's not an African's idea of Africa.
Right.
Although you could imagine a theoretical future cinema, like a Nollywood that got the budget of Hollywood or Bollywood, that could make this kind of fantasy filmmaking on this scale, that could do even deeper levels of research, of dramaturgy, of production design into, like, say, a purely Malayan fantasy, a purely Swahili story, a purely Zulu story. I'm just pulling names out of hats. But by the way, there was one scene in it that I just wonder if it was a direct shout-out. There's a bit where a character looks at one of the spears that the Dora Milaje hold, and he doesn't like it, and so he breaks it in half. And I wonder if that was a deliberate reference to Shaka Zulu? Because the reason Shaka Zulu is remembered as a military leader is because he redesigned the entire military, including giving his warriors shorter spears, which are more maneuverable and easy to work with on the battlefield.
In terms of like African culture in this film, I do know that a criticism that happened before the film came out is that the soundtrack to the film did not really utilize African artists, and I think
it was Kendrick Lamar who did the soundtrack, right?
Right, but I mean he collaborated with other people. Yeah. It's just that he didn't really collaborate with African artists, and that some people, like especially like, you know, people of African descent have pointed out, you know, it's just like too much Kendrick Lamar and not enough African voices, which is something that I agree with. I would love it. And maybe somebody's already done this, so somebody just like made like a Spotify playlist of like some of the music that they would like want, or like music that the film reminded them of. Like, I would love that because I wanted that. Like, I'm Jamaican, so like I don't know, and the diaspora is like wide and vast. You know, we're everywhere. You know, it's like
they're in this movie.
Yeah,
the talent pool they pulled from was so diverse. From Britain, from France, from Africa. From South Africa, sorry, from America.
Because one of the interesting things about Black Panther that I hope is really going to like open is, you know, conversations with the diaspora about, you know, our differences, and conversations about, you know, the art that Black Panther pulled from in terms of like the production and the costumes and the influences and the folklore and like all of those things. Like, it reminds me a lot of like when Lemonade came out. Somebody created like a Lemonade syllabus where like it pointed out like all of the references of the music and the literature and the film that Beyonce made. And so I would love something like that for Black Panther. You know, I know that it's commercial, it's a film, it's fun, but it could turn it into a learning experience.
But still, there is a lot of thought and work put into it, and it's weird to see, not weird, it's fascinating to see where those threads might lead, especially since it started out as a very vague idea by two white writers, by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. I read the Ta-Nehisi Coates run of Black Panther before going to the movie, and the volume that I had also had a reprint of the first issue where Black Panther appeared, and where he appeared as a supporting character in a Fantastic Four story. And the way they set it up is the Fantastic Four get a gift of a flying car from an African chief. That's how he's introduced, an African chieftain. And Mr. Fantastic's first response to that is, really? Where did he get it?
Well, yeah, and that's something that's like goes through the film, just this idea that this is a third world country. They couldn't possibly have anything, and also,
although they technically still would be a third world country even if they were technologically advanced, because...
And third world would still be a really terrible term that people should really retire.
It's a relic of Cold War terminology. The first world, capitalists, the second world, communists, the third world was simply those who weren't aligned, but over time it became what we would now call developing nations. Which is still kind of a patronizing term.
Yep.
We should probably talk about the politics of the film. So you were saying?
Okay, so I was just on Twitter and I just saw that they're already printing t-shirts that say Killmonger was right. Let me say this here on this camera. Killmonger had some good points. He was not right. He wasn't.
Killmonger was not right in a very fascinating way, though.
Yeah, I'll say that, yeah.
Okay, here's why Killmonger was right. Spoilers! I have like a big spoiler thing here, so like, have it there. Okay, future me, just put a big word that says spoilers right here. You can feel it if you want. See, feel that spoiler. Feel it? Feel it. Yeah. So, Eric Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan, MVP.
So, is essentially Killmonger...
The son of a spy.
He's the son of a spy, and he basically gets left in America. He gets left in 1992 Oakland, and he does not get to go to Wakanda, where his people are.
That's his tragedy. He's cut off from privilege, essentially.
And he grows up, struggling, and then he, like, joins the military and basically becomes, like, this killing machine.
A Killmonger, if you will.
And so when he goes to Wakanda, his whole thing is that, like, Black people around the world have been struggling. They have been, they have been enslaved. They've had to deal with Jim Crow. They've had to deal with mass incarceration and all these things. And Wakanda has done nothing. That's a good point. I'll give him that. That is a really good point, and I think that's why whenever he says it, everybody's just really quiet because nobody knows what to say.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that you can say.
But his solution is to conquer Wakanda and then have Wakanda conquer the world.
Which is bad.
Just the line, the sun will never set on the Wakandan Empire, that is just such an amazing line. I just was shocked that they were able to say it in a movie of this scale that will be seen by this many people. There are a lot of things that the movie said that I just never thought would ever be said by a major Hollywood studio.
Such as,
where did you think your ancestors got these artifacts?
Yeah.
There are 2 billion people across the world who look like us and you've done nothing. And just his final line, which... Should we spoil that?
Sure.
He wants to be buried at the bottom of the ocean with his ancestors who would rather jump and die than live in bondage. And just... Wow!
He's,
just the boldness of that. That is just revolutionary. I love it.
I'm not gonna call it that, but it's a lot. Like,
I mean, revolutionary as just the fact that it's in that movie.
And it's, and it's definitely invoking revolution. T'Challa and his crew were right in the sense that, like, sending vibranium around to basically, like, start wars wasn't a really good idea.
Because arming, poor communities with unlimited weapons is such a great idea.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also really imperialist. So, like, as much as you want to act like it's revolutionary, is it revolutionary if we're just repeating the imperialist pattern, but with us?
He's using the tools of the oppressor, and that's why he's wrong.
And also, the thing about him also that people are very, very quick to forget is that he shot his girlfriend in the face. He shot his girlfriend in the face.
That happened.
He also chokes the shaman.
You're right. He lifts her up off the ground with his newly formed Black Panther strength.
And it's just like...
He just takes this old woman and, like, lifts her up by the throat.
I was so upset. T'Challa is not the best leader. And I think that he knows that. He just knows that Killmonger is worse.
I'll get back to T'Challa on that, but, okay, my expectation for this movie going in, knowing what little I knew of the Black Panther comics, I thought that the Andy Serkis character, Ulysses Klaue, would be a much bigger deal than he ended up being. Because, you know, he is a colonizer. He's a South African vibranium merchant. He's literally plundering their lands and getting rich off it. He calls them
savages.
He calls them savages, and he does it in a South African accent.
Ugh.
Savages.
Ugh.
I thought they were going to make the villain colonization by making Andy Serkis colonization. The villain is still colonization, but it's Killmonger who acts on it.
It's what happens when you are marginalized in a system and you get angry and
start using the tools of the oppressors.
Wakanda is not a perfect society. The way that it decides to deal with foreign policy is to not deal with it and to not help anyone to protect themselves. And that's bad.
They're extreme isolationists.
And it's really good that the film is basically about reckoning with that and the damage that causes. And I think that's a really interesting way to do it. And, you know, of course, having the villain be a Black person who was isolated from the comfort and the technological advancements of Wakanda.
In other words, he was westernized.
Yeah, but the thing about Killmonger, though, is that he, because of his anger, and when he shows up, like, one thing that Wakanda has is that, like, it has, you know, like a sense of like respect for, you know, like women and like tradition.
Just so many of the scenes before the plot really gets in motion are just, you know, detailing the ritual of their country. Like the opening scene is T'Challa being crowned king, and we get to see how that ritual plays out in very fine detail. And there's just such...
him fighting M'Baku.
And just like setting up the rules of honor that the society obeys. And there's this sense of integrity that they all want to uphold. And you get a sense that integrity is precious. Because it has been untampered with, you know, by the forces of colonialism. Because it is so unique to these people who, in this culture. And the villain comes and destroys it all.
Yeah. You know, what I find really interesting about this film is Nakia. Because Nakia is essentially, you know, she's the
Pepper Potts of the movie.
She's more than that.
Like, way more than the Pepper Potts of the movie.
She's T'Challa's love interest, but also she is a spy, and she's a person who like very actively is just like, no, I have to get out of the borders of Wakanda. I have to go see what's going on out there. I have to help other people. I have to you know, try to alleviate other people's suffering. And
she has a life outside of the main character, basically.
Yeah, and so like but also just like it's just like a really interesting, you know, like comparison between like her and like somebody like Killmonger, who is like, what if like someone like her had been around? Like her impact, like in the impact that she wants to make, is so important. Like she's not just like going on like some kind of like random crusade. She actually like cares about people. And I think that like her empathy is just something that I think the film really benefits from, and it's really interesting.
And even within the character of T'Challa himself, the movie makes a point that he is a good man. He's a kind-hearted man. The first thing he is told before he's crowned is that it's hard for a good man to be king.
Yeah, and there's also this undertone because like when Killmonger gets ready to take over, Daniel Kaluuya's character, whose name is escaping me right now, because I just think of him as Daniel Kaluuya. W'Kabi, you know, there's this underlying sense that like T'Challa isn't strong enough to be king because he's not like a fierce warrior. And so when Killmonger shows up, you know, I already forgot Daniel Kaluuya's character. His name.
W'Kabi. Rhino Man.
Rhino Man. Yeah,
he's the guy who tames rhinoceroses.
So W'Kabi is basically just like, oh yeah, I want to be under a big bloodthirsty king. Yes, like he just like gets so excited. And I think it really speaks to this idea of just like feeling like the meanest and most most fierce and most bloodthirsty guy is like the best ruler, and how that's like not actually the case, he finds out.
He's a dictator. I'm saying he's a dictator. I'm saying he wants to rule an empire because he believes in strength over all else.
Yeah.
Strength over mercy.
And I think, yeah, and that's not great, y'all.
Long live King Softboy. That's what I'm saying. Long live King Softboy.
That's because you really, I see, this is what I knew that you connected to T'Challa.
What?
I thought that you felt like a personal connection to him.
Did I?
Yeah, I felt like you did.
How? I am not T'Challa-esque. Am I? I don't know what you're talking about. That's my impression of Black Panther.
I mean,
doing monologues into the middle distance.
I mean, you totally freeze.
I never freeze. He totally freezes in the movie.
He does. Oh man,
he's such a dork.
He's the king of freezing, honestly. That is what he's the king of.
I was worried how they would make him, like, you know, relatable, and they just made him awkward around girls to make him relatable. Yeah. Well, awkward around his ex.
He's very much like Spider-Man in the sense that he's really fucking cool with the suit on, but with the suit off, he's unsure of himself. Yeah.
And he has daddy issues, because what prince doesn't?
So I just realized that I've gone this far without really, really talking about Danai Gurira. So let me just say, this goddess on Earth, 40 years young. We are not worthy of her.
Also, Martin Freeman's in the movie.
Her combat,
So Letitia Wright was funny. Letitia Wright was really funny.
Danai Gurira, I salute you. Can you adopt me? Can we talk? Because I just oh my god,
this is why I made the vlog, to document these reactions.
When she got her man to get on his knees and bow to her. What a queen. Goals. Oh my god, when she throws off her wig and grabs her spear and tosses
this is the rest of the video
over the balcony. My god, let's talk about a goddess, okay?
The credits are rolling right now.
Okay, let us talk about a goddess! And also, yes, Letitia Wright is really, really amazing as Shuri. She's funny. She's forward thinking. Seeing this black girl.
She's a fan of Vine, apparently.
Seeing this black girl around all of this like technology, and like she's
a woman in STEM.
She is the smartest person in the room, and like everybody like, and oh my god, and when M'Baku like it's just like their tech is run by a child, I'm just like, excuse you? Have you seen what this child can do? This child is doing it. Like, loved her in Black Museum, loved her in this. She's great. I cannot wait to see little black girls dressed up like her. I can't wait to see little girls, period, dressed up like her.
Did we see any at the showing itself?
No, we didn't.
We saw people dressed up, though. People
were mostly like dressed up like Coming to America-esque. Which is like which I know is like a big theme with the way that people are dressing up right now. Winston Duke is hilarious. Like great with not just like comedy, like in terms of like verbally, you know, like in terms of cadence and jokes, but like good with physical comedy, just really just a really talented performer, and I can't wait to see him in more things.
This is going to launch so many careers. This is going to launch so many careers of so many really talented actors, and that alone should be celebrated.
And once again, like I mentioned her earlier, but shout out to Academy Award nominated cinematographer Rachel Morrison for Mudbound. She also did the cinematography for Mudbound. Also, if you haven't seen Mudbound,
way down in the water,
This is also an advertisement for Mudbound. Like, this is not just a great superhero movie, this is a great film. And I would, and I don't care about like, and I'm as snobby as it gets.
Yes.
Let's not pretend like this isn't a great film. Let's not.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Let's just
like to think it isn't a great film. Like it isn't just like extremely well structured and paced. It's super solid.
And that it's not like daring in its content and how direct it is and the way that it talks about just like, I can't wait for the diaspora wars over this personally.
Which will come. So I've been spending Black History Month reading this.
Yes, this is a book that I recommended to him.
Yes, I'm not going to say the title out loud, but you can see it right there.
I can say the title.
Okay, you can.
This book is called Toms, Coons, Mulatties, Mammies, and Bucks.
Mulatties?
Mulatties, mulattos, mulattos.
Mulatties.
Mulatties,
Okay. Because I've been working on a video review of this movie.
The Watermelon Woman. That's right, Watermelon Woman. Is Watermelon Woman her first name, her last name, or is it her whole name?
The first feature film to be directed by a black lesbian, and it's all about...
That we know of.
That we know of. And I should put that in the video itself. Thank you, honey. Reading the history of African-American representation in film, just in the context of just knowing that Black Panther was coming out this month and knowing that this was going to be a huge event no matter what, this is part of film history now.
Yeah.
Go see Black Panther. It's already part of film history.
It's great.
How do we end it?
I don't know. How do you want to end it?
Zamunda forever!